Welcome, everybody, to our Tuesday live show with John Willis from Special Operations Equipment. And we've got Dudley. Dudley, what's a Dudley? What's a Dudley? Tell us who you are.
I am a person that lives in the woods, completely off grid with my family, and I'm originally from the Communist Republic of New Jersey. I made it out. I showered a couple of times, got that smell off of me. From the Communist Republic of New Jersey. Uh-oh, where am I? Oh
That's
no.
okay. You've got something playing on another browser. I'll just talk right over the top of it. I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast and Hollow Roast Coffee. I think the first question that I wanted to ask today, and guys, if you want to get a question and just put the word question in all caps so I know you want me to ask the question, and then we'll go from there, is how do you go from a professional fighter to a truck driver to a homesteader? Like, how did that all happen?
Well, I everything tends to be a financial decision. When I was younger, and I was 6 years old in 1986, and I visited family down in North Carolina and wanted to live the country life. So my entire life, I tried to figure out how to do that. I went from working for the telephone company to playing semi-pro football, to becoming a bouncer and bodyguard, to then becoming a professional fighter and then a truck driver. So that transition from fighting to truck driving is, well, for 15 minutes fighting, I'm making $10,000 for 15 minutes. But if you're only doing that once or twice a year, you can't live off of that. You can't make ends meet, especially in New Jersey, where property taxes for a quarter of an acre with houses touching each other, after you pay off the house, you still are paying 16,000 plus a year in property taxes.
Wow.
I don't pay 16,000 a year in mortgage payments.
That is nonsense out there.
Yeah. We have some sort of a property tax referendum going here where they're trying to change how property taxes happen in Tennessee. And I chimed in on it's from the freedom-based think tank, right? So the idea is no or low property taxes. And I was like, I know. How about you just like lock our taxes or our property value at the rate we buy it at and don't increase it and reassess it every 2 years. And then when I'm older and have my mortgage paid off, I don't lose my home in retirement. And somebody just went after me about how that would never work because how would we pay for the roads? And I was just like, how did we pay for them before?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I live on a road that's a complete dirt road where I occasionally I'll hit a rock that's poking up out of the road, and it'll puncture my tire. So where I am, property taxes are going to be nothing until the big property owners start selling off their land and bringing in city folk. And and for me to talk, me coming out of Babylon, out here to the country in the middle of nowhere, and then I'm turning back, pulling up the ladder behind me because I don't want this experience to be spoiled. I don't want somebody to come in here and lobby and say, hey, we want better roads out here. Hey, we want electricity all the way up here, because there's no electric on my road. It's maybe about a mile and a half, almost 2 miles away. So once those things start making their way up here, it's just going to bring more and more people out here. And hopefully they have the same type of mindset of wanting to live this way as opposed to changing it to what they came from.
Are you doing anything to foster relationships with people to buy near you just in case so you have more of that like-minded approach?
Oh, of course. A Hebrew brother of mine, he just came back to this state, and a property came up directly next to me, and he was able to snag that property up. He didn't move his camper and his family up here yet. He's supposed to be doing that over the next few months, but it's working out pretty good. And everyone else around me that already lives up here, I'm making good relations, introducing who I am. some of the things that I do, and seeing how we can live together in peace and harmony.
That's good. So was it a culture shock to go kind of from New Jersey to Oklahoma? What was that like?
Um, I I think it's a reverse culture shock. I was the one that was more bold and outspoken. I have been since I started voting. I have been a registered Republican in New Jersey. So that's like, oh, let me just write this on this piece of paper and throw it out in the wind because that's all it's going to count for in New Jersey. But I was the odd man out living there, even though I grew up there. I didn't talk how everyone spoke. I didn't act how everyone acted around me. And even with my family, uh, they all had their focus and direction. And I guess I would be the rebel of the family, trying to advance myself instead of going with the status quo. So moving out here, I felt more at home as opposed to being back in New Jersey.
I just remember my first night in the Holler homestead, and I hadn't lived anywhere this rural, and it's very rural, before in my life. And I was a little scared that first night. I was like, I'm hearing coyotes. Um, I'm all alone out here. Like, what is this about? So for me, there was a little bit of a transition, and within a year, like bugs didn't gross me out the way they used to. So I had a culture shock when I moved from the city to the country in a pretty big way. But now I
Right.
just like I don't know that I could ever go back.
Oh yeah, not at all. It I I would actually have to ask my wife. She was the one that had the bigger culture shock, and not even a culture shock, a different way of living. When we got together, uh, I said, "Well, hey, if we're going to have a long-term relationship, we won't have cable TV." And she's like, huh, how am I going to watch the NFL? Like, what am I going to do? My beloved Eagles. Like, there's a way to find it. We'll find game streaming on the internet or something like this. And it was breaking her mind focus and paradigm and painting this picture of what life could be. So it went from saving money, not wasting it on cable TV, to then moving in together, consolidating our bills. Then it went from there to trying to figure out what the direction of our life was going to be. And we were renting a house across the road from my grandmother's house. And then one day I prayed about it and tried to figure out where we were going in life, because at that point I was winding down my fight career, and I was doing over the road trucking, flying up and down the highway with hazmat, and I I said we need to get rid of this house. I prayed about it, put extreme thought into it. We have to get out of the state of New Jersey. Well, how are we going to do this? Where are we going to go? I don't know. So I said we can live on a truck, because every week we're on a truck together, riding up and down the highways, and just to go back to a place where we're paying 1,400 a month to wash clothes. That's a bit extra to wash clothes. So I said that. I started looking up van life, different things like that. Ended up purchasing a van. Well, telling the people we were renting the house that we were leaving. They were asking us where we were going to go because they wanted to sell the house to us. And we said, we don't know. We're going to live on a truck. We're going to get a van for the time that we're not in the truck. Get out of here, B. And then everything just started falling into place. The father had a plan for us to get out of New Jersey, and he just continued to open doors for us. We were looking towards Kansas, but uh, some strange YouTuber, you may have heard of him, Bear Independent. He was like, "Hey, you seem cool. One day you should come out and visit." I was like, "Okay, I'll come out
Sounds
and
good.
visit." We got rid of 70% of our home, and there wasn't a direction of saying, hey, we want to go be a part of that. Like, no, that wasn't even a thought. We just knew we needed to get out of New Jersey. And then that invitation happened. We went to go visit. Everyone hit it off. And it was like, well, my wife started to question, are we really going to do this? Are we going to live on a truck and then in a van? Especially because she was 5 months pregnant at the time. Then we got the offer to actually move out here. We did that, to live in a van in a field while my wife was pregnant, going into winter.
What was that like? What was that first winter like?
It was cold. It was definitely cold. We had a diesel heater that I installed in the van, so that was one thing. Then we ran extension cords from a power pole that was 50 yards away to be able to run space heaters. I purchased one of those flushable toilet things, so we had that in the van. We had a queen size bed that I built in there, our storage and everything. And I put up some insulation on the walls that continuously fell down. The tape and screws that I had on it holding it up wouldn't hold it up, which that's a project I still haven't finished to this day, because we moved out here in November 17th, 2020, and the walls still are not up in the van, but we survived it.
So in the description of the show, I said what we're going to talk about is making things happen for yourself no matter what. It kind of sounds like you have some experience there.
Oh yeah. I I've learned that if no one is shooting at me or has me on the ground elbowing me in the face in front of my grandmother on national TV, I can deal with anything.
And so tell me about your homestead now. What are you doing
Yeah.
there?
Well, currently we are preparing for the winter. I have the skirting up on our camper, which is over here to my left. I have plenty of solar supplies from a company called Renogy. I have a Westinghouse generator that can charge up my batteries when everything goes low. I have solar panels halfway down the hill that are charging up the batteries as we speak. I have some IBC totes for my water storage, which I have another 500 gallon tank that I need to clean out, hook up, and get prepared. But uh, oh, and food storage, freezer. Well, actually, two freezers outside, but one of them I have converted into a refrigerator using a Inkbird thermostat controller, and it's just getting piece by piece together
Yep.
so that it's not only comfortable, it feels like we're not roughing it. Like, I don't want my wife to have to struggle. I don't want my two sons to have to struggle. Like, my older son, football, he has his camper over here, but he's staying off property currently. And then my younger son, the little chunk, he's going to be 3 in January. And I don't want them to have to stress or worry about anything. I want them to feel like, oh, yeah, we're connected to electricity. Oh, yeah, you could just turn on the faucet and have water. I don't want them to have any problems, even though we are completely set apart from the local towns. And there's occasionally we'll hear that the power went off in town. Like, okay, well, uh, my wife will sometimes forget that we're not connected to the grid, and she would ask, "Are we going to lose power?" No, as long as we don't lose the sun, we're not going to lose power. We're good to go.
Yeah, that's a great way to go. What sorts of things are you doing on your homestead?
Well, all of my livestock guardian dogs are laying around me right now. We
So
roosters
you're
walking.
really, really safe from coyotes right now, right?
Oh yeah, yes indeed. Well, uh, there's one of the dogs. There's the rooster. There's another dog back over there. So they're all around me, and they go hunting every night. There's a few more of them that's up on the road. They patrol the road at night, and so don't have a worry about coyotes or anything right now. We need to up our food storage game as always. And then on top of that, I need more chickens to add to the flock. I want to have at the minimum of 100 chickens on property at any given time and constant rotation. So if the world goes crazy out there, I could just
Yep.
come out here with one of my knives, cut a chicken neck, scald the chicken, defeather it, and cook it up. So my family won't starve.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. Do you have predation problems with your chickens, or is it just old age that's taking them out?
What? No. My chickens are thriving here since we moved to this property in I believe March of this year. Only one rooster had died, but I think it got stuck and caught, and the other chickens and the dogs were poking at it, and then it
Yep.
eventually died.
Yeah, that'll happen. I found a rooster. I have a coop with a ramp that goes up. I close them in at night for safety. And I
Right.
found one huddled in this part of that ramp, like under it. And I
Oh,
decided that meant everybody was picking on him. So he went to his own rabbit cage, which means that's one step away from you are going to be for dinner later this week.
Yep.
But I
pretty
got a
much.
straight run, so I have too many roosters right now.
Well, with all of my chickens, they all free range. I want them to get all the bugs, all the ticks, all of everything, so I don't have to deal with it when I'm going up and down the property. And then
Well, you
eventually, once we get some fencing up, or I'm able to purchase some Gallagher fencing, I'm going to get some sheep.
will you bring in more chickens with winter coming, or will you wait till after winter to bring in more birds?
I'm If they were already grown chickens, I would
Mm-hmm.
bring them in before winter. I don't want to with running off of solar. If we bring in chicks or we hatch some, uh, I don't want to have to run a heat lamp
Understood.
uh, to be able to keep them alive.
Yep.
Here's a comment from the audience. Chickens are live and fresh MREs.
Yes, indeed.
I have
Just
never opened an MRE before until this month. I finally looked at what was in an MRE. And
well,
I'm going to do a
there's
whole
a
series on them because there's some weird stuff in those.
Oh yeah, there's a company which found out about them after moving out here. I think it's called La Brea or something like that. They have these clean MREs back in New Jersey, and those things are delicious. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I we need to stock up on those and keep those handy and ready. I have a few in the van right now.
Yep. Well, so I got shown all the fun parts of MRE. So there was somebody in the military with me while I opened it up laughing at my reactions, and then he showed me how to take the heating stuff and put it into a bottle with hot sauce and make it into a little bomb. So that was part of the fun of
Oh yeah.
So apparently all we do with these are prank people.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying that when a gunshot went off over the mountain back behind me, I was listening, seeing where that was going to. But that's another thing of country living. You'll just hear random gunshots and not have to worry about it. And if there is a problem, you are your own first responder and you have to deal with it because the police aren't coming up here. And
Yeah.
the ambulance, if they are gonna come up here, the police have to first make sure that it's clear for them to come up, and the police aren't getting up here even though they're right at the bottom of the mountain, they don't come up this way.
Yeah. It takes the police about 45 minutes to get to me here, in theory, unless they happen to be here for another reason, which means if somebody, like if I called the cops because somebody was breaking into my house, it would be 45 minutes minimum before they even got here to do anything about it. And that's when I started learning about guns. That was
Oh
like
yeah.
literally the thing. I realized I was like, man, I'm a sitting duck, basically. And there's, it was a false premise that the police were going to save me anyway in the city, but that was I just remember the day where I thought about what that meant.
Yep. Police in rural areas are body collectors.
Yeah.
That's usually the they'll come take notes and ask you what happened. Was it justified? Is everything okay? Is there anyone else out there? All right, well, you have a good day. Somebody will be here to pick up the body.
Yep. So here's a question from Greenberry Grove. What is your process for vetting potential community members? Thanks.
Well, I'm a part of Shofar Mountain with Pastor Joe Fox. I believe that you all have heard of him. The biggest thing is being a whole Bible believer, studying the Torah, living the Torah, and it's actually not trying to become a part uh, of who we are, just showing who you are, and then out of that, somebody may want to invite you to come out and hang out and experience life with us to see if you would want to actually do life with us. It's not really a vetting process or anything. It's just like how anyone else would make friends. You hang out and then say, "Oh, hey, have you ever thought about being out here?" Oh, really? You have? Cool. Well, we should continue to hang out. And when you do get out here, maybe we'll hang out some more. Maybe I'll bring you around my family. Maybe I'll uh, let you come to my property, or if you're in between places, maybe you can come live on my property and we can work together to help you to get your own.
John, what's your vetting process? Do you have one? Because you have a community.
We meet guys typically that want to escape where they're at. So a lot of times that'll come with issues. A lot of times because they're running from things. Guys typically come here to be a part of SOE, and
Right.
some guys stay. Some guys decide it's not for them. But we make enough videos, they kind of see the fun parts of it, right? So they kind of come out, and I actually make videos trying to dissuade you from coming here. So if you kind of get through that, you know what's up. We don't give you an address or anything. You have to be smart enough to find the address and figure out how to get here. So if you can't get past those little hurdles, then you're probably not going to make it here for any length of time. So the guys that have moved here came here of their own accord. They saw the videos over the years, came, hung out. They come to an event here, or they come to a party or something and kind of see, and they're like, oh, well, this is really what it is. You know, so many guys on social media have this nice little curated life that they show you, and that's not really how life really is there. So kind of along the same terms, guys typically, we don't invite them. They show up and they're like, hey, we're here. And they're like, okay, let's see how you do on your own. You know, there's not a ton of lodging here. So if a guy can come here on his own and find, you know, a place to live for a while, then he has that wherewithal and that follow through. So it's worked out. The crew that's here, I mean, you guys have all seen the crew that's here, and that's kind of where they've come from. They have to put forth on their own, and then we'll pour into them and definitely help them. But you have to have some ability to help yourself first.
Oh, that is a major thing. Being able to provide for yourself and your family first. before fellowship can even happen, because with all of us, it's not, oh, you come here and then we will take care of you. No, you need to be able to take care of yourself. And then once you are here, if you're struggling, then we can help you out, because that's what tribe and community does. It doesn't work in reverse.
Yeah, we're not going to build a home and be like, come here and live in our home. You know, you're going to come here and start building your home, and then we will assist you building your home.
Yeah,
that is so true.
that's the best way to
Well,
think about it. Go ahead.
I feel privileged that I was given a pin drop to get to SOE. Everyone else had to struggle to find it. I was blessed with a pin drop to get there.
Well, you come highly pre-qualified and vetted too.
I think our first 2 self-reliance festivals, the address was not on the website because of the no, but we did finally put it on the website.
Yep.
Well, you should
Just
make
to leave a breadcrumb about how to find the address.
I like to point out it is called the Self-Reliance Festival.
You should make it a prerequisite. Change the location.
Yes.
And then make it a scavenger hunt where people have to learn land nav and figure out from some hints that you put out in videos that, oh, they have to go to this place to get information to get to this place to figure out what date it is to get to that place.
Yep, love it.
I kind of like that idea. Maybe that's our theme for next fall.
Yeah.
The Land Nav Self-Reliance Festival.
Yep. Well, that is something that our team is learning thanks to a brother Saul. He has blessed us with so much information, knowledge, and training. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or seen any of his videos. Saul's survival weapons, and I can't think of what the acronym means for his channel, but you'll never see his face. You only see his hands working, doing stuff, teaching on a whiteboard. And once he goes through his vetting process, you can actually go out and train with him.
Now, I thought maybe I'm not, so maybe I'm completely wrong in this. I thought Pastor Joe Fox was Saw, and those were just two, and maybe not. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
2 different people. Pastor Joe Fox, you can see on YouTube often, and you can learn a lot more there. The survival weapons applications system.
Yep.
Thank you, Lone Star Living, for throwing that in the chat. Saul lives out in the high mountains of Montana, which is so beautiful out there. But his process, I have never experienced anything like that. Like with my years of training or my years of working, there has never been so much accountability that you think you know, or you think you have knowledge and information, but it just you can get overwhelmed, one, with trying to figure out what do you need to go train with him, and then once you get a list of what you need to go train with him, trying to learn how to use it, learn how to apply it, and then get out there with him and realize everything that you thought was wrong. And then he shows you the little intricate details of why this works, why this doesn't work, what you need to key in on, and how you can be a blessing to the next person.
So tell us why you think that skill is important to build.
Oh, what do you mean? What skill?
Just mapping and figuring those things out. Like why would a person who maybe has never done that before decide to jump into that particular direction?
Well, it's it is a lost art. When I first started working for the telephone company in 1999, I was given a few different roadmap atlases, And after a while, I stopped picking them up because I knew the area. I will look at someone's address. Oh, it's in that town. It's going to take me 2 hours to get there. I know how to get here. I know how to get there. I know that street. I know where the cross box is. I know where the central office is. I know where everything is. Over time, uh, you started going to what was that service? MapQuest. You would go to MapQuest, and then you would print everything out, and you wouldn't pay attention to the first few pages because there was so much information that you would get out of that. You would only need the last page. Okay, you get off the highway here, make this right, make this left, and all of that stuff. Then the GPS started to become more effective and efficient to be able to use. So people started purchasing GPSs. So if you could afford a GPS, you wouldn't buy a map. When you're not buying a map, you're not learning the actual area. So you're just relying on a GPS. So it gets easier and easier to rely on technology instead of knowing the old ways. The actual map is new technology to a person that has to know how to navigate with a compass, or has to know how to navigate with the stars, or knowing that the sun just rose from over there, that is east. I need to be going in this direction for as much as I can during daylight, make shelter, because I know that I have to go that way. But people have lost that that sense of direction. If you're in a car, how quick can you let someone in the car know I'm heading east? Do you actually know your bearings? Are you paying attention to what's going on with you as you walk out the door? If you break down somewhere, do you remember how far away was that last exit and which one said had a gas station? If your cell phone is not working, your car broke down, there's no vehicles on the road, how are you going to get around? Like, you need to know how to navigate an area or a situation. You need to work on your memory. You need to get lost so you can be found and find your way back home.
I was actually thinking about this topic yesterday because Sunday, because I was in Nashville. And when I moved to Nashville, GPS on this device did not exist, right?
Right.
But I had a Garmin that got me that I used in combination with maps across the country. And I remember taking my first excursion to a specific grocery store I wanted to go to because I'm crunchy and I wanted some organics. And it was in Green Hills. And I ended up like north of Nashville at a gas station. And I walked up to a biker with a map and I'm like, can you show me on this map where I am? Because I just got completely lost. And he probably thought I was like going to yell at him or something when I walked up, because he looked at me like, what? Oh, okay. And he just showed me. And then I remembered navigating to that grocery store. And this is all routes I can take from memory now. But I remember thinking, like, I wonder if I moved to a new town today, what getting to know that area would be like with this tool, because I just didn't have this tool then. And so it's interesting that you're talking about this topic. I was just like, because I was totally thinking I need to do more with maps. Like, sometimes I go through phases where I'll only go places with maps to see if I can get there. And then that's not the most efficient route, but I'm using the road atlas so I don't forget how to use the road atlas in my car.
Well, not only that, I mean, we could take it even further. There will be certain people that are hunted, and this is how they will find you, right? There will come a time in the very near future, possibly, where this will get you targeted, so you won't be able to use this, or they simply turn it off. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now through the White House about an internet kill switch and regulating. It's basically your social credit score. You're seeing them happen in multiple other countries. So things that I, for instance, have said 2-3 years previously might get this turned off. You might not have that. They're talking about the vehicle kill switches by 2025. All vehicles will have the kill switch. Well, what most people don't realize is all of your new vehicles already have that. They're just coming out and saying now admitting that they have it. And yes, we are going to use it against you. So to be able to navigate in a manner, if you look at all of your underground forces, especially World War I, World War II, those were all rat lines and messages and pigeons and dead drops. It all goes hand in hand. It was a spy novel when we were a kid. But how would you maneuver if, you know, some other government was against you, your own government, for instance, if they were looking for you? How would you? And I know people are listening, they're like, this dude's crazy, but it's not that far-fetched.
With what you're saying, if you are in a battle time situation and scenario, knowing how, all right, Nicole, if I tell you I need you to go to this place and pick up food and ammunition, and I give you coordinates, are you able to use those coordinates to look at a map and go to that exact location?
Yep. And those can be out of sequence, right? You know what those sequence. So if somebody gets a hold of that, you know, using brevity code or book code or anything else.
Yeah. I recently held an exercise where we something simple as the game of telephone. I call you, I read you off some information, and if you do not write that information down exactly how I said, the information is dead. Because if you mess up on one number on a coordinate, or you miss a dot, or if there's a minus sign or anything like that, you're going to be completely lost, and you're going to be sending someone into the middle of the ocean somewhere or in India because you messed up on one number. So being able to listen and share information is a key point, but you can't transfer information of how to get somewhere unless you can communicate first. So land nav can tend to be easy if you can read a map good enough. But if I can't communicate to you where you need to go, that map is not going to help you.
Yeah, this sounds like a really fun class to take.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I am a baby crawling, trying to understand it and relay that information to my wife, to my son, people in my camp, of if we need to communicate, how good are we at that? If I need to send you somewhere, how good are we at that? Or are we going to rely on a cell phone that's jammed? That you remember when Apple first came out with their Apple Maps, you would put in a simple address and it would send you somewhere completely different into a lake somewhere. Like, well, why is it messing up? They said this technology was ready, but it is our fault that we started to rely on it instead of knowing our area, knowing where we need to go, knowing all the roads around us, how to get home from multiple places. If the road to your house is blocked, how else are you going to get there? Do you know how to go around this way? Do you know how to go around that way? Or are you just stuck there sitting and waiting?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really important one, is multiple routes to places you need to go. And the roads around, because the roads that are easiest to close and have a profound effect are the big roads that everybody uses all the time.
Right.
Because they're not going to go, like, they're probably not going to go close the Holler Road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we might close it, but they're probably not. But they will close the highway.
Yeah. And do you know how to navigate those holler roads? Not everybody can.
Yeah. Well, not every Holler Road should be navigated.
Well, look at last week. Australia woke up. 40% of their internet was out. 40% of their banking was out. You seem to see it just back and forth, like it's a cyber war, is what they're saying. So at what point do you wake up and this thing is off, or even worse, maybe incorrect? You know, it wasn't so long ago we were running with 6 vehicles, and we hit this off ramp. It takes us under a freeway under ramp. We're underneath the freeway underpass, and we end up in a cornfield, and we literally drive through the cornfield, and that's what Google took us on.
Yeah. Oh no, there's a memorable place in North Portland, and it probably still does this, where it takes you through a swimming pool parking lot to get where you're going. And I remember the first time I ended up in this parking lot, I'm like, why am I in a parking lot? I should be, you know, on a road perhaps, instead of this parking lot where there are kids like going to the pool. But
yeah,
it used to be a road. They turned it into a parking lot. Maps hadn't caught up yet.
Yeah, we used to have maps and Thomas guide books and stuff, and it was the cross-reference in the Thomas guide. And you got pretty fast with it, but I mean, we've got people now who have never, like, I was talking to a group of people last week, and it dawned on me. We had a group of people who had never used a manual transmission. Like, it just doesn't exist anymore. You've got a group of people who've never even seen a map.
Oh, keep talking. I'll be right back.
Because they just, it's the age, you know. You got 20-year-old young men, 25 even, who simply just never learned to run a manual transmission. It doesn't exist any longer.
Right. And that puts them so far behind the curve, where if you had to,
I can't drive a stick. Yes, actually, I can drive a stick.
Sorry.
If you can't, if you can't drive every vehicle, can you actually drive a vehicle?
You go back less than 100 years, and people taught themselves to fly airplanes. I mean, they were coming back from the war and landing in cornfields, you know. And then the next guy, you know, your neighbor would learn you just teach your neighbor how to fly that. There was no real ground school or anything. We were talking to some people about learning to sew. And I said, you just learn it out of necessity because you're excited to do it. You just do it. Just like the first motorcycle I got, nobody taught me how to ride that. I bought it from the auto shop at school, Honda XL 175, and just rode it home. Like, it stopped at the bottom of the hill. And out of necessity, I wasn't going to push it 2 miles. I was able to get it started, and I didn't know how to shift. I rode around for weeks in first gear. I just, out of excitement, go out in the canyon and hit trails and stuff, and you'd go up and it'd die out, and you turn around and, okay, I better go faster this time. And you shift, you kind of know that this goes with this, and you get into it, but you learn how to do that just out of necessity. Just like, you know, sometimes nobody teaches you to ride a bike, but if you give a child a bike, they're going to learn how to ride the bike.
Yeah. Another thing about that, dealing with inclement weather. A lot of people don't know how to deal with inclement weather while driving, because initially being from the Northeast, I used to find it comical when I would drive to the South and the entire state would be shut down because one inch of snow. Like, what is the problem here? It's like, oh, it's snow out there. It's treacherous. We can't move. Everybody's crashing all over the place. Like, wait, from 1 inch of snow? Like, I'm still flying down the highway with about 2 feet of snow. So what are y'all doing? No one knows how to autocorrect. When I was younger, I started learning the German language for one reason only. And that was because I drove fast everywhere I went, and I only had one vacation destination, and that was to go to Germany to go drive on the Autobahn. That was it. That's all that I wanted to do in life, because I'm driving up and down I-95 at 130, 140 miles per hour. Why don't I go to some place that I could do it legally? But every week I'm doing checks on my vehicle. I'm checking the brakes, I'm checking the lugs, I'm checking all of the fluids, making sure that my Ford Taurus SHO is road ready to be able to push it to those limits. So many kids can't change a tire, let alone drive efficiently. And then when you get to inclement weather, do you know what it feels like when you're starting to lose control? Or are you so tuned in to letting the vehicle let you know when you're losing control? oh, that sensor saying that you're having tire spin. Well, which tire is it? Do you know that you're sliding sideways, or the car is just supposed to go straight? A lot of people don't know that, or don't even notice that, because they're relying on computers to save them out of hairy situations.
Yeah, and I will say, living in Tennessee, that I stay off the roads too when it's snowing
Hmm.
because other people are on the roads.
We
I'm
see
like,
it.
this is a good time to be by my wood stove.
Yeah, we see it. If we get a dust in here, the whole town closes down. We've got people with 4-wheel drives that don't come to work, and then we have Rosie that in a car that shouldn't have made it here that's here, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm from New York. This is nothing. This is a normal day.
Yep.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. She's tenacious. Okay, what quality compass would Dudley recommend to have? So many out there, it's hard to pick.
Oh, I am new to the land navigation game, so it would need to be a lensatic compass. Do I have mine in my pocket?
Of course you do.
Let's see.
It's gonna be a massive prepper fail if the answer is no, right?
I know. I think that I took it. It's actually on my chest rig, which is right over there in my van. My lensatic compass is over there in my chest rig. For weeks I had it in my pocket. I'm like, I got to get rid of some of this stuff in my pockets. And that was the one thing out of the 3 flashlights, the Ranger beads, and everything. The fork that I have, like I have a EDC fork and spoon right here. I have some more Ranger beads. It's tons of stuff in my pockets, but I unfortunately took my compass out. But you have to look for a good quality lensatic compass, one that is shielded, and so that you can shoot an azimuth. That's being able to look through it, know your bearings compared to where you actually are, get that degree heading, be able to write it down in your notebook, and continue on that pathway. Even if you have to go around different structures and stuff like that, you will still be able to recalibrate yourself once you get around a big structure to be able to get to where you're going to.
So the one on the right there is a billet aluminum one. I had one of those. I believe Sun 2 made it. Sun 2 and Silver are your two biggest companies out there. Your GI lensatic compasses. You're going to see a lot of them with tritium, which means you can see them in the dark.
Yes.
A lot of guys will use the Silver Rangers. A lot of the military units issue those as kit. You have a ton of options, guys. More important is not what compass, but knowing how to use the compass. There's plenty of videos online of guys actually making compasses in the field and just being able to fabricate a compass. There's ways to do that, obviously, but nothing's going to beat. And it used to be $79 for a Silver Ranger with the mirror, so you could shoot it. I don't have any clue what they cost now, and an oil-filled compass at that.
Right. Yep. There are so many bad knockoffs of compasses. Some of them I even have to take my rings off of because my rings will throw the compass off.
Yeah.
Cell phone. You can't have a cell phone anywhere near a compass if you want an accurate direction. All of the parts, speakers, and everything will completely throw a compass off.
Yeah.
And how you actually hold it. Some of them have a ring on it that flips down so you can hold it just like this out away from you so your body doesn't even throw the compass off.
I saw something recently and it said, when you know a lot, you only need a little. And that goes back to all of that. My son, when I think he was 11, we had a guy come into town named Russ Kalkman, and he did a survival course. He runs a company called Wetsuit. We eat this shit up is what the name of the company is. And he had all these guys, all these like warriors, these meat eaters show up, and they've got their big Kafaru rucks, and they're doing this winter survival class. And he's like, okay, go get all your kit. So everybody brings in all their stuff. He's like, okay, walk out the door. You're only going with what's in your pockets. And that's what they did, man. And they did dug-ins and reflective fires, and they were out there the whole weekend and came back, and everybody, you know, these are the guys you'll go out with a rock and chip it and make, you know, something sharp, and that you come back in a week and they've built a city. And it's wild to see. And you realize how much stuff that you carry around with you that you don't actually need.
That is the absolute truth. That's why, even though I need my compass, that's why it got pulled out of my pocket. I can't stand having a pocket full of stuff. So I was like, I don't need this. I don't need that. I do need this. I don't need that. Always trying to adjust my EDC to what I actually need, as opposed to when I would need something in a moment. If I'm going out in the woods, I am going to be taking my rifle. So if I'm going to be taking my rifle, I'm most likely going to put on a saw rig and then go out in the woods. If I'm just going driving somewhere in my van, I'm going to have a not a bug out bag, but something more like a get home bag that's full of calories, cordage, different things like that. But I also have a smaller supply of that stuff on me for my EDC.
Yeah, I made my first bug out bag, not to bug out, but to get through unexpected hospital visits.
Yes.
Not because Tactical was here either, although that's a valid reason to have a hospital bag, because that dude's in the ER all the time. But yeah, it was because one time I ended up in the hospital, no water, no food, no charge cables, because it was like, gotta go now. And I was like, that's it. We're going to have this bag by the door for the gotta go now bag. And then I learned what a bug out bag, and I was like, oh, I have one of those. I can just adjust a little bit.
Yeah, and with us, with what we do with Grindstone Ministries, we always have to be prepared to go at the drop of a hat. I unfortunately, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb right now. I could be getting messages now that we need to go do something. I haven't heard of any storms or anything that would like a hurricane or something, or a tornado starting up somewhere in the area where we would need to deploy. But I keep supplies enough that I could sustain a week away from home without question, whether it's food, whether it's clothing, whether it's a hygienic kit. All of that stays ready to go at the drop of a hat. Like, I don't have to go pack up and grab it. I have it set and ready to go.
Yep. Here's one. You can use a knife and rub to magnetize a sewing needle, set it on a blade of grass in a canteen cup with enough water for it to float for a crude compass. Wouldn't swear by it, but it's something. Yeah, we made those as kids. That was like a fun afternoon for a Gen X 80s kid right there.
Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed with adults being around me that felt like that was important back east.
I was a latchkey kid, so there were not adults around me after school, but there was all sorts of access to weird experiments. But
yeah, we had a physical science teacher named Mr. Valley that would teach us stuff like that. It was always, I actually dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. But in the beginning of the 10th grade, I would go to school to go to Mr. Valley's class. And then I would leave after the first two classes and just ditch school the rest of the day. But I always showed up to Valley's class because it was fun, it was interesting, and those lessons still stay with me today. And that's the only teacher I know from 30 years ago, 40 years ago is Mr. Valley. So obviously he imprinted something on me.
That reminds me of the one teacher that I could think of. That was Peter Izzo. I had a class with him for 2 years called electromechanical technology. He taught us how to wire up houses, how to build robots and how to be a man in his class. And then he would get in trouble from time to time because he would bring his Harley in the classroom and do burnouts.
But you remember him.
Oh yeah, yes indeed. That's the only teacher that I can ever remember. His full name, everything about him, all the life lessons that we learned, and all of the actual classroom lessons that we learned.
Yeah, we used to have like chemistry teachers and the electronics teacher showing us how to make little bombs out of capacitors and stuff. Man, school is not the same now as it used to be.
Nope, not at all. It's a dying age, but that's why we have to homeschool and actually educate the next generation. Because
Absolutely.
if we don't, all of that information is going to get lost.
Yep. History, his story.
Yep.
I legit don't remember the name of the most influential teacher in my life, but I can picture his face right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, I'm like, what is his name? Oh.
What did he teach you?
German.
Ah, nice.
Life, but German. Yeah, he was somebody who believed I could do anything, and I needed that in a teacher at that time. So
that is awesome.
Incidentally, became fluent in German too, oddly enough, because
with all the years of practicing and all of that, I still am not fluent in German. I guess that's why I never made it over to the Autobahn.
Oh, you should just go. You don't need to speak German there. They speak English.
but I'm also a responsible adult now, so I have to keep it under 90 miles per hour wherever I go.
Well, you can only go so fast on the Autobahn because there are other cars there. So there are some parameters. True. Even though you're supposed to get out of the way in the left lane, like sometimes it just is what it is.
Right.
So
that's why driving in Montana was so beautiful, because there is nothing out there but mountains, and the only thing that's going to stop you is a moose. Well, I did hit a bear late at night, not bear dependent, but driving through, I thought it was a bag or something on the ground, like flopping, but no, as soon as my lights hit it, boom, it hit my bumper. I hit the snout of a black bear that was laid out on the ground. So that's about all you have to worry about.
That bear did not have a good day.
No, it didn't. Oh, another thing, giant deers. It was one standing in the highway in the center lane, just standing there, like not running across anything like that. Nope. I'm just going to stand here in the middle of the highway. So that's about the only issues you have speeding in Montana. Outside of that, it's just nothing but open roads and highways.
Yep. Here's an interesting comment that they didn't want me to read it necessarily, but Native Americans, as they walk in the woods, will create a story as they see things like trees that are distinct. As long as you remember the story, you can't get lost. That's an interesting approach.
That's exactly the truth.
I like that idea.
When I have not taken my oldest son, and even with my youngest son, we've only gone halfway into our property as a family, and walking with him, showing him the little intricate details, like you got to be careful of the holes. You have to know which way is back home. You know you don't go further this way. You don't go further that way. And if you are having a problem, I'm trying to get him to learn how to use a whistle. Like, I've given him a whistle. He'll play with it. He'll run around and blow the whistle, and then he'll throw it somewhere. Like, no, you got to keep it on you for safety and security. So if you get lost, you can sit down, blow your whistle, and then mommy and daddy will find you.
How much property are you on there, Dudley?
5.2 acres.
Nice.
Yep. Are you surrounded by wilderness though?
On the other side of me, there's there's a property owner that has about 3,000 acres
Wow.
across from me where there's nothing on it. So that's the surrounded by nature part. Up on the other side of the mountain where my property ends, I don't even know if anyone lives there. So I I have no idea what's up on the other side of the mountain, and maybe I'll have to go around and check because I looked at the property like using on X, trying to see who owns what to try and say, hey, I'm your neighbor. If you see me on my property, don't shoot. I
It's
live
not
here.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I want to know the exact same thing if they're out there wandering around or have family members that's out on their property that they don't encroach on my property because it would be, hey, you need to turn around. If I get a what or a fu, I'm just shooting.
Yeah, it's better to meet them in the daylight than in the dark for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's kind of fun being surrounded by wilderness and not having to maintain the property tax on it, but there's a risk there.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we looked at some property where was it? I believe in Colorado, where you were only purchasing like 2 or 3 acres, but then you had a couple of million acres on the back end of your property that was state land.
Yeah. I border Army Corps land here. And so we did a show Friday where it just sort of like hypothetically speaking, what would it look like if I went looking for a totally different property? People started sending me listings that were all bordering wildernesses like that
Yeah,
because then you have, you know, access to that. But if you border like a national forest, people come in who are hiking in the national forest and end up on your land. So
right.
there's a
Yeah,
fine line there.
you have to find uh, what works and what are uh, the ways to be able to tell someone that this is private property. In some states, you could put up signs saying that it's private property, but also you have to put those signs within a certain distance of each other, or it's invalid. Some places in the Midwest, if you spray paint a specific color around your property land, you that justifies you that you are letting people know that this is private property and to keep out. Other places you have to have fencing up or it doesn't count. And there's so many different rules and laws about what is and uh, what works and what does not work about keeping people out from trespassing on your land.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic to go into is keeping people off your land. Um, Something that happens when people buy land in a new place that other people locally have been using for free
Yep.
for a long time is some resentment can be built when you come in and you're like, get off my land. And they're like,
Right.
I've been swimming in this creek since I was 3 years old, you know?
Hmm.
That's a whole nother thing to be cognizant of when you're looking at land.
Yeah, that easements, property lines that were uh, a, a person over here has been using all of this area right here, but then you go and get it surveyed. It's like, hey, all like the majority of that land you've been using is my land. It's like, oh well, my family has been using this like this for the past 70 years. Like, you're not going to go and change it now. Like, we need to either work something out or bring in a mediator because I paid for all of this. You are using it. Unfortunately, that is my land. Either
Yeah.
either we're going to have to redraw the lines where funds are going to have to come from you, or you're going to have to respect the actual boundary.
Yeah, you bring a forestry mulcher through there and cut a clear demarcation and put a fence up, that pretty much ends all of that. Man, the best thing we did was fences and gates.
Yes.
There's never a question, and that completely changes how you approach things. You know, if you made a clear, conscious effort to not come over one fence but two fences, it's very different when you knock on the door.
That is so true.
Just for the record, I've never come over John's fences. I always
I've
go
never,
through the
yeah.
open gate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it just makes it very clear.
Oh yeah, and
There's
that's where people should understand. But then you have those that like, oh, no one owns Earth. I can go and roam where I please. And like, okay, well, I can go and shoot where I please.
Yeah. Yeah, big dogs take care of a lot of that. I mean, you can definitely negate dogs, but it's just what are you doing back here when there's a bunch of metal and stuff, you know, or he's holding copper in his hand. Well, we were looking for the front door. Well, you missed it by about 800 feet.
So true.
I see. There's a wild debate about titanium cups apparently in the comments today. Apparently, a titanium cup conducts heat and you burn your lip.
Yeah, but if you need to
keep a double-walled sealed Contigo cup, it keeps everything cold in there. My coffee version is in the van. I have a mug version in the house, but I stay with the ecosystem. I pick a brand and I stick with it until it completely fails me, and then I got to change.
That's the way to do it. That's called loyalty right there.
Yes, indeed. I have a few things from SOE Tactical. I have a few things from Sojourn Gear. I was talking about the saw rig earlier. I'm wearing Sojourn Gear fanny pack. I have a chest harness from SOE Tactical. What else do I have from SOE? I have a battle belt. Trying to think what else. And the my EDC stuff seems to be Sojourn Gear. My tactical stuff is SOE Tactical. So there's a way that I bounce in between with that. All of my knives are from SOG. So there's the one there and the other one here. So 2 is 1, 1 is none.
Yeah, so, just like us, Cody can't keep up. Like, we have more work than we can possibly fulfill. Cody came walking in here one day. He was taking a class here at TAC Response and showed me some stuff. And I tried to hire him. Like, I didn't even know he didn't say, hey, I'm part of Show Farm Mountain. Like, he didn't, nothing. I didn't know who Bear was till years later. And I'm like, hey, there's that weird dude that came walking in here that made all his own clothes. That's that guy. Like, I had no clue. I'm like, man, if you ever want to move out here, because TAC Response is here, I'll give you a job. Quite the craftsman.
Yes, indeed, he is. But he is so meticulous about his work. A few of us joke around about it, like, oh, did Cody finish that project, or do we need to go dumpster diving? Because there will be one little thread out of place, and he's like, "Oh, that's trash. Oh, that's garbage. Oh, that's no good." And it's like, "Wait, it is perfect." It's like, "Oh, well, I don't feel like I can sell that to people. Only you have the eye that's messed up."
Yeah. Yeah, when we build new bags, a lot of times we will just simply single stitch our stuff. The stuff that we use, just to see. And everything's triple stitched or has 5 lines of stitching. But I have gear that I walk around with for years that just has a single line of stitching. So over the years, we've definitely learned to trust the materials. And I've got piles and piles. If you look in my work area, that's all seconds in there. And there's guys all the time like, hey, I'll pay. You got any of those seconds sitting around that cost less? Man, we auction that stuff off, and it's a feeding frenzy. It goes like 3 times over retail. It's like the upside down. It's like the upside down airplane stamp.
That is awesome and amazing.
I think it's cool.
Yes, indeed. Oh, before we go, I wanted to. I don't know if you all know about it. Caleb House, calebhouse.org. They are having a silent auction, and I believe it is on Giving's Tuesday, which is November 28th. I believe that's the date. Don't quote me on that. Actually, let me.
I'm pulling
go
up
to.
the website for you.
Okay, yeah.
I
that's
saw
what
an
I was-
email about it, but I'm not seeing a silent auction up here.
Let's see. Is it up there? Nope. Let me go to the Instagram.
Yeah.
Why don't? Oh, there it is. Come on.
Are you going to give us a link? It's 11:28. So the comments are helping us out. So 28.
Yes. Well, thank you all. It is on the November 28th. We have quite a few people that have donated items for this silent auction. As you know, calebhouse.org, they are building a facility to intake and restore victims of child sex trafficking. And if anyone wants to be a part of it or give anything, please contact events at calebhouse.org. And after that, next year, we're holding an event called the Refuge Ruckus. It's a ruck march that is being put on by Refuge Medical to benefit Caleb House.
And that'll be in Arkansas.
Yes.
Yep. That sounds cool. So they just send an email about getting involved in the silent auction. Is it a live auction or are they doing it online too?
I don't actually know the details. I may be a live auction. Just email events at calebhouse.org or go to calebhouse.org and you will be able to get all the details on how the auction is going to run and how everything is going to be laid out.
Okay, cool. And it's KALEBHOUSE.org, guys. Just if you're on the audio only, which will be produced after this. So that's important.
Some people mess it up. It's biblical. Look it up. Caleb, he was an Israelite that at the age of 80 plus decided that he wanted that mountain over there to live on and got a crew together and went and killed some giants.
Yep.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take down some giants and restore the nations.
Yeah, that's the part of the live stream people never get to hear, is the part before the live stream starts when the real stories come out. That's going to make people wish they were there.
There's a lot of things that can't be talked about for legal reasons, but all the help that people can put out there, people can share the message, share this video, this interview, share the website calebhouse.org, and help us change the direction of this country.
Yeah, and I think so people who listen to us have heard us talk about this before, but some of you are new. And the reason it's so necessary to create this is that when children are rescued, they end up back in the system. There's nowhere for them to go. And so they go into the foster system and are taken right back out and into being trafficked. And so I think Bear was the source of the idea. But when he realized that, he was like, okay, I feel called to make this happen, where there is a place that not only for them to land, but to guide them through reintegrating into society in a healthy way, so that they are healthy, functional adults, so that they're not just there for a year or two, they're there for them to build their life. And yes. And that is something that I think is a really important cause to support.
There's a lot of guys recovering. There's a lot of people recovering these children, and a lot of them have been recovered. The exact same child has been recovered up to a dozen times when they go into the foster system. Homeland Security only has 600 beds for these people. There's only 600 spots in the United States for these recovered people, and they range in age from 1 year to 18 years old, and there's no rehabilitation afterwards. And that is part of the Caleb House, and there will be multiple locations. It is not just going to be one place. And Bear, I think Bear would say that he didn't feel called. He was instructed. He was told, you will do this.
Yes, indeed, because it is something that is missing from this society. People have this veil covering their eyes, watching TV, thinking that everything is good. Just because I can sit in front of a TV and have my mind, the world disappears because I'm stuck on that idiot box, and the reality of the world is hidden from them. People go to sleep. People try to avoid the tough conversations, the reality of what's going on in the world. Oh, that doesn't happen here. Well, yes, it did. It happened right down the road from you. Did you see any signs? Did you say something to someone, or did you just continue to let it happen because you want to stick your head in the sand and ignore it?
And the flip side to that is people do know and still don't act or do anything. It's just like when you go to church and you put your offering in there, you put your little bit of coins or whatever in there, or you put your money in the loaf of bread when you were a kid at Sunday school, and then they go build wells somewhere else. You don't ever see that shit. We don't take care of the people in our community, right? The guy's house burnt down. We're not over there helping him or taking care of children in our community, because it's so easy to just feel like we've done our duty by just putting a little bit of, change in the offering pan, when we could actually, with our hands and in our own community, we could make a difference that actually did change somebody's life, and you would see the results of it. But instead we just, send it off and just rely on other people to tell us it was done, and then we feel good about it.
Right. Passing the buck.
John just explained the dysfunction of government programs very concisely.
Every bureaucrat. Yeah.
Yeah. I've paid my taxes, so why should I care about the starving child? That's a horrible thing to say.
Right.
But we hear people say it.
The widow and the orphan.
Hmm?
You got to be able to take care of the widow and the orphan, because you will have a failed society.
There's no interest in government in taking care of their own people, right? Because they need to send all that money over some other place where you can't see what actually happens, so that they can then in turn steal most of that money or have it circle back to them, right? God forbid we actually do something, that you can actually affect, something you can actually put your real hands on.
That is so true.
Yep. Is this your wife?
Yes, it is.
Mrs. Lovely Dudley?
Hey, Malo. Her and the little chunk are right inside the camper now, hanging out. He came up to the window a couple of times, banging on the window, trying to distract me to say hi.
Well, he could have come out here and said hi if you wanted him on camera.
No, I'm surprised they didn't come outside so he could come running around. But I think she wanted to keep him in there so I wouldn't be distracted of him trying to hop up here, then hop down, hop up here, then hop down.
Yeah. I love how you're on Starlink right now, right?
Yes.
So Starlink is fast enough not only for you to be here, but for Mrs. Lovely Dudley to also be participating on the YouTube. So that's pretty darn cool out where you are, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. That is it. Without the Starlink, we would be completely disconnected from the world. I have to go up on the road and down some, holding my cell phone up in the air to receive messages.
Yep, we have Starlink here. I'm not currently on Starlink. We do have Starlink here, though.
Right. Yeah, it's Elon Musk is doing something right with that Starlink. But even on top of that, I actually do have my inReach on me. that was my first satellite communicator. If I can actually get it out. Do.
So a friend of mine has one of those, and she does through hikes. Used the panic button on it for the first time,
Oh
and
wow.
forgot that when she bought it, she signed up for like an annual insurance plan to cover the first like $50,000 of her life flight. And
Yeah.
she was flighted, and she thought she was going to just have to pay the whole bill. And she said, like, after she got out of the hospital, she was super stoked to discover she'd accidentally subscribed to that and been paying $39 a year for the insurance policy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is such a blessing. I think when I initially purchased this, they locked me in at $17 a year for that exact same insurance.
Nice.
Do you
Don't
use
ever let
any?
that expire, man.
Do you use any radios for comms at all?
Yeah, I was
We
going to bring that up.
we do, but not from property to property, because there's a lot of fox hunters out there that will try and intercept your
DX.
radio communications. Uh, we we have SOPs in for how we use radios, but currently we are using internet-based communication. That's why I am making sure to keep that Starlink up and running so I can communicate back to my wife, and then for people outside of us. And then when I'm on the road, like I got this when I was truck driving, because there would be a lot of places where I parked where I would have absolutely no cell phone service. And just with a couple of button presses, I can let my wife know that I'm okay.
Does that send audio, or is that a text based, or what is that exactly?
Text based only.
Okay.
Yep. So with it being the InReach Mini, they have a Garmin InReach that's bigger, maybe about like this, that actually has a keyboard. But this one, uh, you can, let me turn it on. Come on. Oh no, battery's dead. See, I
Oh
haven't
no.
charged it up in about 2 months. The you remember old school text messaging of
Yep.
going through the letters? You have to go up and down, up and down, up and down. A, down, 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 down. V, up, 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 up. So that's how you would have to do that with this, or you can pair it via Bluetooth to your cell phone. Well, see, I have that one, the InReach Mini, and then next to that, they have the InReach, the newer version, the InReach Messenger, which you can actually charge up your phone with. And then this one has a standby time with it being turned off, which I believe something must have turned it on in my fanny pack for it to actually go dead. But the battery in here usually lasts a year with it turned off.
And surely you have a battery pack someplace within arm's
Oh,
reach of you that'll charge that thing.
Yes,
We have a friend, Evan Dixon, Radio Made Easy.
Yeah, right here.
And he comes out, if you get 10 people together, I don't know what the minimum is now, but he travels all over the United States, back and forth every weekend, giving classes on comms, and removes the gatekeeper. People are so up in arms, the sad hams is what they like to call them, the gatekeepers, that you're not allowed to do this. And he teaches people how to do this. And stubby antennas to limit, range in certain areas, and great, just a good dude.
Yeah. Somebody asked, do I have radio communication? Yes, I have a 50-watt radio that's in my van. I have multiple handhelds. I have digital comms, also using different programs where you can connect the radio to that program and send it over here and do that. I haven't got my what is the it's the technician, it's the, I'm trying to think of the third ham license. But once you get that, you can bounce stuff off the ionic sphere. But I don't have the equipment, nor do I have the license yet to be able to do that.
Yep. Well, and he's teaching from the standpoint of how to use a radio properly Not necessarily you have to have your license out of the chute, although from what I understand, you end up pretty well prepared for taking your test when
Oh
you
yeah.
take the classes. I want to take one of his classes, and I need to travel out of my area to do it probably, because when he's around, I'm doing other things. So it's kind of
That's
like,
always the case. When I was still living in New Jersey and I wanted to take my ham radio license exam, they only had it on Wednesday evenings, and I would be on the road trucking. So I could never schedule it uh, uh, when I was still out there. Then when I got out here to Oklahoma, it's more of the wild, wild west with radios. You can almost do what you want until you piss on somebody's channel, and then they get upset at you, and then they'll come and shut you down.
yeah. So don't piss on somebody's channel.
Right? Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like all of those classes around SRF. I have somebody who has suggested a 2-hour class for self-defense for women, specifically tapping into doing unexpected things.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want to take this class so bad, and I won't be able to. Where else are you doing it?
Well, my with my background as being a professional MMA fighter,
Yeah.
the biggest thing with self-defense is being able to move. Can you run a quarter of a mile? Can you run 100 meters? Because I'm trying to change my brain over to meters with rifle stuff, and it's all of these calculations. I hate math, but can you do that? Do you have the ability to lay down flat on your back on the ground and stand up? Can you do that? But then, can you do that for 5 minutes straight? Lay down
Yep.
flat on your back and stand up for 5 minutes straight. That is the ultimate test of your physical ability right there. That will condition your entire body. You don't need to go to the gym, because if you feel as though that you have to go to the gym, you will find an excuse on why you can't go to the gym. You have the ground, lay down on the ground, stand up. That's all the conditioning and strength that you need. If you need to pull yourself up, do that. If you can, like my son football, he can do these kick-ups. I was never able to do that, but he can do that constantly. You'll never see me doing one of those kick-ups, but I can get up and get down on the ground efficiently, and everyone needs to be able to do that.
And we just started talking burpees without saying the word burpee, didn't we?
Oh no, burpees are easy. Burpees are more easy because you can use your
Use
arms
your
to
hand.
propel
Yeah.
yourself up. No, you gotta lay flat on your back. So then that's giving you a core workout, a back workout, a leg workout, an arm workout, all of the above.
Yep. I was doing 50-meter sprints Sunday in the pool, like
Nice.
fast as I can go. And my heart rate was at like 185 after 50
Nice.
meters. And I was like, wow, my heart's not what it used to be. I need to do more of these, because I realized that means I'm out of shape. But yeah.
Yep.
And then the other
That
guys
and
were like, what are
learning
you
how to
doing?
breathe.
I'm like, I got to swim fast. Yeah. If I ever have to run away in the pool, I have the advantage.
Nice. Well,
But
no, I'm gonna get caught if we have to swim. I'm gonna
I'm going
make it
straight
there
to the lake.
eventually, but I'm gonna be the last one to get there.
That makes sense. All right. Well, let's go once around the horn and we'll wrap up for the day. John, what do you got?
SOE Tactical Gear is the website. I do a live every night at 9 o'clock on the YouTube channel here. I'm on all the platforms. You can check them out. We do a couple different podcasts every week, and I'm easy to find.
But you have to find his address without asking him his address if you want to get to SOE Tactical.
Yeah, we don't want you to come here.
All right, Dudley, go.
Well, I'm Googleable. Nope, got to do it. Nope. How do you do it? Right there. Yeah, you could just Google my name right there or go to allmylinks.com/JA Dudley, and all of my social media stuff is up there. Uh, Even one of my phone numbers is up there. If you have questions about anything, you can reach out to me on there. Send me a text message. Uh, Check out my YouTube videos. I try and put out 3 YouTube videos a week, whether it's homesteading, whether it's testing equipment, or whether it's just my thoughts on life, my history, my past, and how the Father has blessed me.
Well, I really think it was fun having a conversation like this where we just sort of shoot the breeze about ideas and skills we can learn, that sort of thing. And we didn't necessarily overtly dive into make your life happen no matter what, but your whole story is about I realize I need to do this different lifestyle and I'm going to go make it happen no matter what. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us today, because anybody who's out there going, how do I buy the land? Maybe you don't buy the land with a house on it out of the chute. Maybe you too can live in a camper on your property and build it up and have 100 chickens and learn how to hunt.
Or you can live in a van.
Live in a van
life is
with multiple
a real
people.
thing.
That's some tight quarters right there with a pregnant wife.
Oh yeah.
Just saying. Anything's possible when you decide, but deciding is the thing you have to learn first. And it doesn't seem like it should be that simple, but it really is that simple. So I encourage everybody to get out there, go out there, decide what you want and go for it. If you want to hear podcasts about day-to-day life in the holler, you can check it out. I'm living free in Tennessee, livingfreeintennessee.com. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.